how to deal with a problem, people rarely go about things the same way despite the similar situation. The path and choices they make may be different, but the end result remains the same. The toast gets eaten and the problem solved. In the short story Auntie Angie's Shaniqua Affair by Andre C. Lewis, a Native American female goes in search of a family member. In a similar but different story by Winbach Track, The White Horse, an Asian man shows how his life has changed since his youth. Starting with the first few paragraphs of each story, a reader may not find too much in common. However, both stories have a common theme of struggling with a new environment. In Lewis's tale, the woman, Angie, decides to leave her hometown on her tribe's native reserve to go looking for her missing niece in Montana. In White Horse, Mr. Nguyen, the main character, makes a big move from Saigon, Vietnam to the United States. In both stories, the new environment, Montana and the United States, caused the majority of the problems for the main characters, but how each character reacts is different. In order to cope, these two tales show how one's past can be used to help deal with the issues and conflicts of the present, but not without consequences. Beginning the action in both stories, the main characters use their past to deal with judgment. In the Native American tale, Angie uses her past to judge a new town she's in, saying things like "Don't Chicanos teach their children to respect their elders," Lewis 2, or commenting "Most are dressed in leather. This is a wingtip bar. It's like I opened a trap door to hell," Lewis 4. Angie uses her past to degrade and belittle the people around her. She does not know anyone personally, but knowing the town is a Crow town, she prejudges. This is because Angie's tribe and the Crow tribe fought against each other long ago. During the battle known as Custer's Last Stand, the Crows aided the American troops in defeating the last rebel Native American tribes. Angie's tribe was one of those defeated. The Crows and the other tribes who aided the Americans were viewed as traitors to Angie's tribe. Although not directly stated, it can be implied that Angie still holds this against every person of that tribe when she says comments like, "I see all those drunk crows. Oh, it's sad," Lewis 1. Angie uses her tribe's past to judge everyone. On the other hand, Mr. Nguyen is not the person being judged in The White Horse. Instead, he is the person being wrongly judged by outside people. Although these minor characters do not know Mr. Nguyen personally, they look down upon him. The banks don't loan to such people, Nguyen 1. And to the police, Mr. Nguyen is a careless man, Nguyen 2. This makes Mr. Nguyen a social outcast. Also, Mr. Nguyen has no family or wife to turn to or socialize with, as no one is with him in the United States. It is implied that Mr. Nguyen's family might have died during the Vietnam War in the fall of Saigon. To cope with the loneliness, Mr. Nguyen allows his memories of the past in Saigon and of happier times with the family to cloud his mind. Ironically, it is while in the memories that Mr. Nguyen gets into trouble at work or with the police. Both main characters use the past to deal with judgment, but not in the same way or for the same reasons. Now, Mr. Nguyen is not a completely innocent man, and like the minor teenage characters from Auntie Angie's Shaniqua Affair, he may have done correctly by other people's standards. Mr. Nguyen has ran red lights, forgotten to pay parking tickets, and does not seem to be an upstanding citizen by the community standards. However, after getting to know and understand him, Mr. Nguyen can no longer be judged as a deviant or bad person. The people who judged him missed out on making a good friend and helping a lonely man. These are the same consequences Angie must face. By using her past to judge people harshly, she loses a lot of chances to help the people she needs. Angie says, "I know your mother and father," I lied. When I said that, the hooker started to run. Lewis 4. Angie could have possibly helped the hooker get off the streets, or the girl could have had information on her niece, but that opportunity was lost. In addition, Angie loses other people who might have been good friends and or helped her find her niece. By using their pasts to cope with the judgment of others or on themselves, the main characters make it through the hard times, but possible friendship and other possibilities are lost. Another issue that both main characters use their past for is the fading of their cultures in the newer generation. Although more directly stated in Auntie Angie's Shaniqua Affair, The White Horse also deals with fading culture implicitly. In The White Horse, there is a lack of culture shown through the present parts of the story. Also, because the story is told in third person, the Asian culture is harder to spot in the present. However, in flashbacks, the culture becomes more evident. The reader can see how in Mr. Nguyen's youth, it was custom for Vietnamese to lose themselves in the Tet Festival, Nguyen 4. These events no longer happen in the present, though. It is this change from one time period to another that implies the culture that Mr. Nguyen grew up with is dying out or no longer exists where he is. To offset the lack of culture in the present, Mr. Nguyen uses his memory to relive those events. For example, around Christmas time in the present, Mr. Nguyen often has flashbacks about the Christmas in Saigon. He recalls the Christmas Eve when the bells sang out. She wore a white onidoi tunic with an oversized sandals and toyed with a white scarf. Nguyen 4. This shows the influence of religion Mr. Nguyen was accustomed to in his youth. Going back to his past is what keeps Mr. Nguyen's culture alive for him. With Angie, she uses her past to directly voice the changes in culture. She says to some minor characters, "Don't parents teach their children to respect elders?" Lewis 1. This shows how her culture would not accept or tolerate the way things are going on in the Croton. It also shows her frustration over the fact that things have changed from her time to only a few decades after. Angie thinks, "What's the matter with them anyway? Lord, don't they have no respect for old people?" Lewis 6. After almost being killed by teenage robbers. This adds to how stressful it is for her that her way of life is different from the present. In order to handle the sudden change/realization, Angie makes sure to tell everyone she meets just how improper or wrong things have gone. She tries to force-feed her past onto teenagers and into other minor characters she meets in hopes of changing things back. It is not easy for either main character to deal with the fading of their culture. However, the past is the main way both try to keep their cultures alive. The problem that arises for both main characters using their past to survive the decrease in culture is the fact that both Mr. Nguyen and Angie miss out on new culture around them. Neither tries to accept or understand the new culture. They try to drown out the fact that culture has changed by staying in their past. By doing this, they isolate themselves. It is why both have difficulties integrating into their new environments. By not letting go of the past, they have trouble accepting the present. This causes them more problems. For example, no one wants to talk or help Angie because she judges them, and also because she does not understand them. Angie also tries to force some people to change their ways, which causes people to be weary of her. Mr. Nguyen completely cuts himself off from people around him. He does not interact with his coworkers and does not share Christmas with anyone in the United States. He's actively avoiding the American culture. By using their past to manage with their dying cultures, the main characters miss out on the new culture and opportunities that could come from these new cultures. As the two main characters showed, the past can be used as a coping mechanism for dealing with issues of the new environment like judgment and cultural differences. Despite being from two different cultures and settings in different locations and time, the two middle-aged characters go through similar experiences in their new environment. They handle the experiences differently, but use the same technique, their past. Instead of using adaptive mechanisms and changing for their new environment, both characters try to remain unchanged and unaffected by using their past as a coping mechanism. By using the past, the main characters try to deal with the changes as best they can. Their methods are not foolproof and does come at a price, though that price is often unnoticed by them. However, they clearly show how the past can be used to muddle through the stresses that life can throw at a person.